Right, good morning, good afternoon. Broadcasting earlier here in rehearsal for tomorrow's publication. It's Monty Munford of Blockspeak, available on all major social channels. We're on to our 11th episode now. We've had some amazing guests from John McAfee to, I've forgotten their names, but they're all amazing. And now, on the second anniversary of Crypto AM, based in London, we have the editor, James Bowater, looking resplendent with his dog and his Dali mask. I think it's a Dali mask painting in the background. James, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well, very well. Just as we were talking earlier, Luna seemed to be quite fine, and then she's sort of acting up again. So I might just let her see if she can go back to sleep. But
what's the name of your dog?
She is called Luna, Lady Bowater Perro. Is her kennel name. But she's already a candidate for Andrex, which my family used to manufacture back in the day.
Oh, did they? What, the Andrex adverts for the?
Oh, yeah, my grandfather. I'm going to let her go and lie down. Actually, no, my grandfather was a paper maker, well, quite a big one, and Andrex was one of our one of the products. So yeah, yeah. So.
James and I have known each other for a while. We could probably talk the hind legs off a donkey. So we'll try and rein each other in.
Do our best.
But the subjects we're going to touch on today, we're going to talk about the Bitcoin halving. We're going to talk about the second anniversary of Crypto AM, a bit about regulation, a bit about COVID, a bit actually about your amazing WhatsApp groups that I'm happy to be part of. I think they're the most extraordinary amount of information through that channel. You know, so James, I mean, most of our people will know you, but just tell us a bit about yourself and how you ended up at Crypto AM. And
sorry, you go. What?
No, just what you're trying to do there, what you've done there, what the plan.
Yeah, I think Well, I mean, it's. I mean, the people who know me, I think, now understand really that I am not a journalist in any way by profession. I mean. Like your good self, sir. But look, essentially what happened is, just as you rightly point out, just over 2 years ago, I had been exposed quite significantly, getting more and more exposed to blockchain, and that sort of. Are you all right?
Look, I'm dancing with the devil. I've got trouble with my blue screen. Hang on. All right, sorted. Thanks, mate.
Should we start that again? Look like your finger. Look like you had a problem.
No, I'm all right now. So thank you.
All right, then. Okay. So you might need some cream for that.
Right. Crypto.
Right. Okay. All right. So look, I think really it's helpful to know a little bit. Sort of a bit before then, I had been involved in trying to commercialize a security technology, analog, a father and son science team who had dusted off a form of holography. I mean, if you remember, like, the pound note, so the £5 note, the £10 note, £20 note, and also the Visa card, all had those shiny holograms on them.
Yep.
Right, so the Visa Dove is one of the famous ones. So the science team behind that Visa Dove and were involved in making that were the guys who I was trying to commercialize their technology, and it drew me into the whole world of authentication and verification.
Yeah.
Quite severely, and 5 years of my life in that. And unfortunately, it ended in disaster because, as I think I said in my first column ever, I hired the wrong people who caused such bad blood and all that kind of stuff that we had to sort of move on. Anyway, getting away from that, the key point here is that the linkage between blockchain in terms of its use within supply chain really attracted me, and I felt that I needed to learn more. So that was point one. Point two is that during that phase of trying to commercialize that technology, as you can imagine, we were constantly on the money raising trail to fund the process. And one of the people that we were dealing with was putting together a concert along the lines of Live Aid. In fact, it was actually the producer of the Philadelphia. If you go hark back to 1985, Monty, when you didn't have grey hair.
I was there. No, I wasn't there. I mean, I watched.
I was at I was actually at Wembley Stadium. I was in Wembley Stadium with my mother.
I was with two young ladies actually watching it on TV. We had a very nice time. I remember it. Dawn and Ratty, yeah.
Well, I was not doing that kind of thing. I was 14. I was with my mother and one of my best childhood friends, Nikki Davidson, and we were watching it at the very back of the stadium. So I actually was at the concert.
Amazing day.
Saw Concorde with Phil Collins flying over and Queen doing that astonishing performance. And then the following year, I went to see a kind of magic tour that they did a year afterwards immediately. Anyway, that's beside the point.
The connection here is that the Live Aid was two concerts. One was at Wembley, one was at Philadelphia.
And the guy who did the Philadelphia one, and a friend of ours, were trying to do the 30th anniversary of Live Aid that would have been 2015.
Yeah.
So in 2014, he came up with the idea of raising the money to do the concerts by creating, wait for it, drum roll, a crypto, the gold standard of a cryptographic currency.
Interesting.
So it turned out that and then again, I've told this before, but it turned out that we had created a stable coin without knowing that we'd created a stable coin or how to sell it or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was, executed contracts. It was called the Hope Gold Coin, and the concerts were going to be called the Festival of Hope. And so that was the linkage there in point one from a cryptographic currency standpoint.
Yeah.
The blockchain linkage came through a guy called Arthur Davis, who was, again, his family were friends of my family when my grandfather was alive. He had a house in Newfoundland, where one of the paper mills is called Cornerbrook. And Arthur's grandparents and my grandparents got on extremely well. So there was a bit of a family connection, and he wrote to me, having seen what I was doing with the holography, and said, if you're still looking at stuff, I've recently been involved in the acquisition or the investment in a company called N-Chain Holdings. And of course, it did not click to me at all until quite further down the track that was obviously, Craig Wright and all of those guys. And so
fake Toshi, yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna get drawn on that. I just find the whole thing so detrimental to the industry, to having all of this sort of, I'm right, you're wrong sort of.
I agree. But so did you work with him in the day then? Did you work together on a daily?
I'm just really trying to sort of point out that you can you still hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I turned my headphones off. I've got these new headphones, Dan.
I can hear you. Okay.
I can hear you too. Anyway, so look, the long and short of it is that on the one hand, by accident, 2014, I was looking at stable coins and all of that stuff. And in 2016, I was introduced to blockchain. And come 2017, I had moved away from that business that bore my name, and because of basically it had come to its end. I couldn't raise any more money, and the people I was working with, I don't want to go into that.
Time
to move on. And then out of the blue, I got a phone call from one of my associates, who is now my business partner on a project, which I'll tell you about in a minute. Saying that he had found a gold mine in Senegal that was amazing. And I thought, okay.
A real gold mine?
Yeah, actual gold mine. And this is, I'm talking about a production geologist of note, really, really gets his hands dirty as well, understands metallurgy. but also is a little bit of a technologist. And again, this is quite important to the route, so to speak, to how I came to be in this place. And he, if you remember, 2017 was when all the nutty, ICOs were going off, and it was just before the Bitcoin, spike.
Yeah.
And there was a huge amount of excitement, and I was playing catch up. I was trying to understand how, what, why, and all of that stuff. Anyway, so I said to him, well, look, this is actually quite interesting and exciting, because I think that what we could do is leverage what's going on, with the ICO world, bearing in mind the asset-backed currency I'd told you about earlier. So this was now in the back of my head, to the forefront of my head. And I said, I think we could, rather than just raising capital for doing this gold mine play, why don't we look at doing something a bit better? And that was when the idea that and again, I as I said, I did not know enough about Bitcoin or anything like that. So I was always of that, I'm a man of, I'm nearly going to be 50. I mean, I'm 48, 49 this year. So I've still got that like mindset of, well, surely something has to back something with value.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't really getting the Bitcoin thing at that stage. So my idea was that, well, okay, well, if we create this situation where we can buy a bunch of different, sites to create a gold, and I thought I was being incredibly clever, and no one had done it before. I'm like, yes, I'm a pioneer. So I came up with Vorium, and Vorium sort of is a.
What does it mean? What does it sounds Italian? Vorium, Latin.
I say Italian, like quarantine.
Malaria, influenza.
All right.
World's telling us. What's a quarantine? Is Italian for 40 days, isn't it? Is that right?
Quattrognaggi or something like that.
Okay.
But it all came from Venice.
Yes, no, absolutely.
It was Venetians who were keeping the ships at bay, and 40 days and 40 nights was the whole sort of biblical reference. It's a long time.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
So just stay away for a long time.
Yeah. I was in Venice a couple of years ago. We were lucky enough to, have a flat right in the middle of it. It's an amazing place when all the tourists go. It would have been amazing to be there, over the last couple of months.
And until the floods, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. So
Vorium is, let's take the V out of it for virtual.
Yeah.
And then go Orium. So Aureus was the coin that Julius Caesar minted.
Yeah, I'd actually.
I think it was 476 BC, says I, and I think it was, when it was launched, it was 8 grams of pure gold, and it was worth 25 denarii.
Right, nice.
I think by the time it came out of circulation, one Aureus was worth 50,000 denarii. So I like the analogy of the value you get. So denarii being kind of like the currency at the time of silver stuff. Anyway, so look, Vorium was.
Well, that's one thing that I do want to point out. How does this connect? What this is a project that's ongoing and you're announcing now. How does the City AM connection? You say you're not a journalist, but were you? Yeah. So the last 2 years.
Yeah, so if you want to learn about something, what's the best way to learn?
Absolutely. I didn't know anything about computers, and my first job was a sub-editor for an IT weekly. I didn't know what the fuck I was reading. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is how it neatly folds together. I needed something to do because I was bored at home twiddling my thumbs. Because there's only so much. Because don't forget the Bitcoin
spike
thing had happened. ICO is kind of like being blown out of the water. And then my business partner had to go and save a refinery in Oman. So, basically almost back to back. The Vorium had to almost go back into the cupboard. Which is fine because actually So the whole of 2018 for me was a journey of of discovery. I met Harry Owen. I mean, I knew Harry Owen, the COO of City AM.
Yeah.
And we met at believe it or not, the launch of a very nice Jura Swiss coffee machine at Boisdale. But obviously, what would you make with coffee? Espresso martinis, naturally.
Absolutely, all day long.
I have an interest in nanotechnology, and then also by then had an interest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
So were you you're learning on the job, right?
Yeah, but I then said, look, I've got, is there anyone doing that at City AM? Because if not, I'd rather like to go on this journey and share what I learn with the readership, which is traditionally, they are. City AM has been around, coming up for its 15th birthday.
Could you just tell the audience what City AM is? I mean, I know what it is, but from your
Sure. Look, City AM is a free newspaper served out to commuters, but they're sort of laser focused on
in London, yeah,
in the City of London and Canary Wharf. So effectively, the financial centres. So there's a couple of ways of there's a couple of means of distribution. The newspaper is directly put into offices. And and also in commuter tube stations, etc. It tends to be read multiple times.
How many? What's the readership? It's 100,000. Is that about right?
No. The print. Obviously, prior to COVID, was 95,000 ish.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And the readership is around a multiple of 3, so it's around about 320,000 was the readership.
And it's all about finance, right? Nothing else.
No, I know. It's not just about finance. There's sort of lifestyle and stuff like that in there as well, and food and drink and blah.
Right, okay.
But yes, predominantly it's focused on the city workers.
So over a couple of espresso martinis, you realised that they didn't have a crypto element to their magazine or their publication it's free, right?
Yeah, and look, I mean, it took a bit of this was, I think, in February 2018 that we met, and and also actually it's quite interesting when I was doing Vorium at the beginning and getting quite heavily into the sort of the research phase and talking about blockchain. We Don, my partner, and I, he was at the time in the States looking at various mining operations out there, including rare earth elements, all that sort of stuff. So we were quite excited about that. We, again, with the African idea in mind as well, we were talking to various financiers to see if they wanted to partner. And one of them, and I won't mention any names apart from he was a Native American chief who did a lot of patents for NASA, quote unquote. He said if you're doing anything to do with blockchain, you should look at a project called Cardano. And I looked into that and found out that there was something called Cardano, and that there was a company called IHK behind it, and all the rest of it. So that answers a question as to why I know quite a bit about Cardano, because I became their ultimate stalker at the beginning.
So it's 2 years learning on the job.
Yeah.
Where I mean, obviously there's no spiking of Bitcoin anymore, and there's pushes towards $10,000. Apart from your ventures into Vorium and your continuing kind of editorship at City AM. What about recent events? What about the Bitcoin halving? Had you was that baked into the price? Do you think? What's your idea?
Well, it's interesting. Everyone, again, learning on the job and is one thing, and understanding that the beauty of this finite program that's been built, the 21 million coins, and then the halving of mining rewards every effectively 4 years roughly,
Yeah.
So I think the next one sort of estimated to be the 9th of May 2024 or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's making, anyway, the point is that there was a huge debate as to whether or not, because on the previous halvings, there'd been a price, the chance of doing this and then the scoop going up after each and every halving, because theoretically things are, getting more expensive and all of that jazz. And because the other two were so early on in the history of it that they had a massive impact. Down this track, number 3, there was the debate was going on as to whether or not it would have a major impact. Was it priced in? Wasn't it priced in? And I think really it's too early to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, what is clear is that we had a little. I mean, look, we had a massive flash crash in March. Black Thursday.
Yeah.
But in my view, that was. Well, I mean, I think quite a few observers had the same view. So my personal opinion of that was that actually that was a consequence of, because I think that's when everything correlated to the main market, wasn't it? And I think that the futures and the sort of the leverage positions, suddenly all of those tripped, didn't they? And then it caused that domino effect. And so Bitcoin, normally being quite resilient to all of these things, again, I mean, it seems everyone says it's volatile, but actually, if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, I think it's that volatile.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And there's no way. Again, I mean, I don't hold with any. That spike in 2017-18 was purely retail media hype, and I think that anyone with half a brain would have knows that wasn't a bubble bursting or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just a stupid moment in time. And actually, I've seen some interesting charts about Amazon, over the years, and the number of spikes it had like that. Oh God, it's worth this bubble. It's not.
Yeah, if you take a bit of a graph at any point, it's always going to look a bit different. It just depends what your agenda is, really. Lots of people that have been on the show in the last kind of 2 or 3 months have kind of talked about going back to that $20,000 price or that spike. I mean, we're touching 10K at the moment, right? I kind of get the impression that most people who know what they're talking about think it will go back up to that price. What's your prediction at the end of 2020, end of 2021?
Well, I think, I mean, look, I mean, as I said to you, my belief about that spike, if you look at the charts and graphs and all the rest of it, and actually, it was such a short period of history. I mean, it was like, 3 months tops, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you remove that spike from the chart and graph, and then look at it, then you might go, oh, look, we seem to be on a sensible trajectory to 20, as if it's for the first time. Yeah. The question is how long does it take to get there, and how stable it is when it gets there.
Yeah.
And I think that look, I mean, interestingly, I mean, I'll take a quick look at my trusty app thingy. I use Crypto Compare because I like them.
Crypto Compare.
Well, yeah, because they're good, and also I really like Charlie who runs it, who founded it. So I mean, that's the other joy about what I've been doing. I've got to meet so many nice, really cool people.
No, I think that's. I mean, when I was writing about tech, it was the same thing. You've got your own agendas, and you increase your network, and it's just you meet the most extraordinary people, and especially.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
and equally some absolute wankers.
Oh no, agreed. Agreed.
Anyway, look. So and we're not one of them, are we?
No,
anyway, so according to Crypto Compare, right now it's at 9,702.
Really?
So we're marching again towards that 10K, but there'll be the resistance levels there. But the other people I like quite a lot are have been with Coin Market Cap, which of course Binance has recently bought, and Binance are going like gangbusters all over the European area.
Oh, well,
they're hiring people left, right, and centre. In fact, they started with Josh Goodbody, who's a really bright guy, and then I think last week they snaffled up Tina Baker Taylor.
I didn't know that.
Tina's, yeah, she is now the God, I hope I got her surname the right way around. It's either Baker Taylor or Taylor Baker. I'm gonna get shot for that one.
That sounds like a name that you should have during a quarantine. A Taylor or a
no. Well, she is going to be. She's doing a piece next Tuesday with me, which is great.
Yeah, we've got CZ is going to be could be on the show next month, so we've snaffled him.
You mean CZ?
CZ, I knew I'd say it wrong, but we got the news this morning, so we're delighted that.
Yeah, well, he's an incredibly nice man.
Where have you met him?
Yeah, a couple of times, and actually, you like the story as he's coming back from Malta.
Yeah.
I was in the Valletta lounge on my hands and knees searching for a bottle of tonic to go with my gin, and there were a pair of feet next to me, and I sort of got up, and there was Cece trying to find some red wine, and I said, "Hello, mate, how are you?" Because of course, when you're in that environment, it's no longer entourage being idiots and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
He was extremely charming. I said, and I said, "How was the president? I saw you had a good time with her yesterday, getting a bear hug because I'd seen all the feeds and stuff." It was like Twitter to hello, having a normal conversation about what I'd just seen, and I said,
sound like you saw his ankles first.
Yeah, I know, but he's surprisingly tall, actually. I mean, he's about 6 foot, I think. 6 foot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's surprising. So anyway, point of the story is that he taught me how to do a selfie because I couldn't work it out. So I said, could you be kind and we'll do that obligatory selfie.
Absolutely.
And so he said, I think I should take that for you because I think I was shaking as well.
Been in Malta for a couple of days, you probably were shaking, So come on.
That's why I needed the gin and tonic, Monty. You know that.
Oh well, probably. Yeah. Well, I've come back from Malta a couple of times in a similar state. Well, pass on that one.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, look, so Binance are doing great things over. It seems to be that they are expanding physically now. Into the number of people that I'm hearing on the grapevine being hired all across the European Economic Area (EA). So
they might hire you, James. It might become knocking for you. They might remember you.
I'm quite. Listen, I'm actually quite careful about all of that stuff. I obviously I've got good relationships. I mean, I get a lot of people saying, "What are you invested in?" and all the rest of it. But actually, I've got a little secret. I don't really own any crypto. Apart from I'm poor as a church mouse.
I had a feeling that was the case for some reason.
I don't really. Of course, look. I mean, if I had bundles of spare cash, then I would absolutely have a portfolio, but I wouldn't declare what I owned.
Right, fair enough.
So it's actually quite nice to be.
No, well,
it's quite nice to not have a penny to put to business.
Earlier, what day are we now? Thursday. Earlier this week we had Kuran Shroff on, who's got something like 86,000 Bitcoin. So we've gone from him a whale to you, not even a minnow. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, that's a bit mean. I think I've got a few Satoshi on my wire.
You are swimming with the big fish, right? Boom, boom. What's your favourite altcoin?
I sort of gave that away earlier, didn't I? As a bit of a clue. I'm so impressed with Cardano.
Yeah, well, that was yes.
Predominantly, not predominantly. The reason being is that what I like. This industry is young, it's new, and the ICO thing just was crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. It attracted all the wrong people. No regulatory requirement always means that you're going to get the scam artists and the people deliberately going in to do that. So like the one coins of the environment. You should talk to Jamie Bartlett about that. He's amazingly researched on that subject. The crypto queen or whatever. That's his
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah,
Jamie
absolutely.
Bartlett.
Yeah.
You should definitely have him on the show and talk about that. I mean, that's a fascinating one, and it's still going on. You know, the OneCoin scam. I mean, absolutely bonkers. Have I lost you?
No.
Hello. Yeah, no, I'm here, but no, there's something. Hang on a minute. You're back. Listen, I'm right next to the Wi-Fi, but occasionally it can go funny. Hello. Are we still being recorded though? That's the only thing.
Just a couple of quick fire there. 2021.
Yeah, Monty, the whole thing's frozen up for some reason. Hang on.
I can hear you. Shall we try again?
Which hopefully will speed it up. Is that better?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right, so that's probably the kind of universe telling us to wrap up, right?
Right. Okay. Fine. So you started with a favorite altcoin.
Yeah.
I think it's no secret that as I said, I mentioned Cardano. The reason I like them is because they have always been in this, recognizing that it's going to take time, right?
Yes.
And not being driven or mucked about by, you know, the sort of the nastier side of the industry, which is like when moon, you know, you're shit, you're this, you're that, I mean, the insults fly around the place are really unpleasant.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I've always sort of compared them, you know, like Aesop's fable, you know, the tortoise versus the hare.
Absolutely.
And we all know how that turned out, you know, and I think Cardano is the tortoise that has, I mean, they employ formal methods for one, which means that they if they don't get it right, it doesn't get out the door. They go back, start again, and you know, it's all subject to peer review, which might be turgid and boring to a lot of people. But bear in mind, Charles Hoskinson, who's become a mate, he's only 33 years old. I mean, he's one of the brightest people I've ever met in my life. I mean, you know, the span of his knowledge extends. You know, it's not just cryptography. I mean, he can recite poetry, play, you know, classical music, drive Lamborghinis. You know, raise
one of those. Yeah.
A polymath par excellence, and actually, you know, I don't see age at all, partly because I'm getting on a bit.
Well, tell me about it.
All right, but you look great, mate.
So do you, darling. So do you. All right, this is just Bitcoin price 2020, end of 2020, end of 2021. Quick.
Okay, well, look, I mean, I think the COVID is here. I don't think it's going to change things a lot. I don't think things are going to change a lot because I don't think it's going to get back to normal for another 24 months.
Yeah.
And I think on that basis, I'll be spending my 50th birthday probably, you know, in quarantine. It's an important question, so I'm going to give it a little bit more than a flippant answer. I think that actually this is going to be COVID and the restrictions that have imposed upon us have absolutely driven home to me that cryptocurrency is not only vital, it will be here to stay. And I think that, as we know, Bitcoin is the mother of all of those. So it would not surprise me in the slightest if it is back to its sort of, you know, I don't know, I think probably 20,000 by the end of this year.
This year and the following year, or was that too far?
I mean, and that is just a complete finger in the air. I mean, I got a sense that it might get there. I mean, but then again, I suppose, you know, I mean, it depends on how miners are. It depends on China's reaction. But I think you'll find that the world is looking to blame somebody, and the world is looking firmly at China. And as you know, there's a heck of a lot of mining in China, and also the Chinese have fast-tracked their central bank digital currency, so the digital
Absolutely. Well, I think
renminbi is on the horizon. Anyway, so
yeah.
it's sensibly, I think probably it could easily go to 15, 20 this year. I don't necessarily. I mean, yeah, maybe if it continues on that path, then maybe sort of 30, 40, at the end of the following year. But
yeah,
again,
okay.
I mean, anyone who says they know which way it's going is
No, well, I don't. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I do know that while the Bitcoin price has been volatile and the whole crypto area is supposed to be volatile, I don't think life has ever been so volatile. So who knows what could happen in the next couple of days.
I think, Monty, yeah, but the rule book has been ripped up because I don't think anyone creating any legal constructs for commodities or, so I mean, gold bullion, good delivery theoretically means you have to physically deliver gold. Same with the oil. And we saw what happened last month with WTI.
Yes. Yep.
You're supposed to deliver all of that oil to Cushing, Oklahoma. Well, that's just not possible. So, the legal frameworks have to change as a consequence of this because nobody ever thought for a second that the world could shut down in this way.
No, absolutely, James. It's fascinating. Obviously, anyone that can mention the word polymath and turgid in a conversation and give me the real meaning of quarantine is great for me to speak to someone of great intelligence. I hope you get to celebrate 3 years at City AM this time next year or whatever. But I have a feeling that with Vorium you might be doing. I like the idea of mining Bitcoin and mining gold. The two just make sense to me, and it's we're all becoming digital. But anyway, last word.
Well, I mean, listen, Vorium. I think that the beauty of it is that I'm setting out to raise $30 million, but I know that there's $10 billion in the ground of what I'm looking at. So I know it's a good proposition. That's phase one. Phase two is to build the network, and I know who I'm going to get to build the currency or the construct. So that's all cool. And no, I'm not going to give. I'm not going to be leaving Crypto behind because it's my baby and I love it.
Yeah, good man.
And I'm hoping to have the second Crypto Awards in March in London next year. So
okay, all right. I wonder if prospect, the word prospect, a good prospect came from searching for gold. That phrase maybe on the issue of finding out what words means. Prospect, good prospect must mean gold in the ground. So hopefully Vorium will be a good prospect. Thank you very much for your time. And
lovely to see you.
I love the background, and I'll see you in London soon, James. Thank you very much.
Buddy. Charlie Musk is Casa del Papel, by the way. That is one of my favourite shows.
Okay, all right.
The plastic mask. That's a mad balloon. Darcy's there.
I like the background. There's certainly been some strange backgrounds, but anyway, thank you, James Bowalter, man of many talents, editor of City AM here in London or here in the UK.
No, Crypto AM. City AM's editor is Christian.
Crypto AM, yes. Thank you, James. Anyway, signing off now. We'll be publishing this tomorrow on Friday, probably around lunchtime. Blockspeak is always here, 2 guests a week. We have Brian Solis next week, who's an extraordinary speaker. And we have Brock Pierce. I don't really need to tell you too much about Brock. So we're off. Goodbye. Stay safe. Bye. Thanks.
Take care.